It's Duda and Magnus Carlsen from the Tata Steel chess, round 3. And they played the Rui Lopez in this game. They both had 1.5 points out of 2. And they were fighting for the top of the table. So they had this, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, and they played before this in the World Cup in Sochi last year. And they played the same opening, this anti-martial Spanish. After bishop b3, castling. Now white goes with a4. This a4 move is played also in the World Championship match. Jan was trying to break Carlsen with a4, but Magnus was successfully defending these positions. First, he tried with bishop b7, which was also very successful, and also he switched later on in 2 or 3 games to rook b8. So he sticks with rook b8. Now Duda takes and b5 takes and goes for h3. This is where Duda deviates from his game from Sochi. And in Sochi he played c3, which allowed Magnus to go for some kind of marshal with the open a file. It's not the same, but somewhat similar. And here Duda took on d5 in that game, took on e5, accepted the gambit, and after c6, Magnus went with bishop d6, queen h4, I think. And he had some issues because he had an exchange for 2 pawns. The endgame was not so easy to hold, but finally, in the end, he managed to secure a draw. But for some reason, Duda chose to play h3 here, and Magnus plays d6 now. Now d5 without c3 is not so useful because queen h4, let's say after d5 takes, take everything. There's also an option like knight c3 on the next move, and also ideas like bishop d6, queen h4 are not as effective as with c3 without h3. So Magnus chose to play d6 in this case, after h3, d6. And now, when black played d6, Duda chose c3, because now d5 seems like a loss of tempos. So Magnus has to find a way to continue, some different way to continue, and he chose b4. Tries to open up the file for the rook. White goes d3, and some exchanges occur, and now h6. Because now black wants to somehow prepare d5. Now it's too early for that, I would say, and he wants to go rook e8, bishop f8 to somehow protect e5 and to prepare d5. But if he goes rook e8 immediately, then after knight g5 he would have to go back or something else, and he doesn't want to allow that. So he plays h6. And now Duda can also play something like d4 now, immediately, but he felt maybe that it is too soon for that. So he goes first with bishop b3, prepares d4 somewhat slower with knight bd2, and then going for d4, rook e8, and now knight bd2 by white. Now black goes with bishop f8, bishop f8 by black, and now queen c2. Additionally defending on e4, and Here, bishop e6 was played by Magnus, tries to eliminate the bishop from b3, which is quite strong there. Duda captures, and goes for d4, threatening d5. Now Magnus takes on d4, which is, I think, correct, because if he doesn't, then probably white can take on e5 and go knight c4 with some slight pressure. Now knight captures on d4 by Duda, because if he allows this, knight b4 might come next, and you might see some pressure on the e4 pawn. So Duda wants to capture like this. Temporarily this c3 pawn is weak, but black is actually forced to recapture on d4, and now cd. Now the issue for black is that he has this c7 pawn, which is quite weak at the moment. It's a backward pawn, so it is a weakness. Here Magnus played queen e8. He wants to put pressure on the e4 pawn. And now Duda goes for d5, since he cannot defend like f3. I mean, it's possible, but it allows knight d5 because of this tactic of rook e3. And after bishop goes to f2, then knight b4 is also possible with d5 next. And I think that black is doing just fine. So after this move, Duda plays d5, which is very nice, fixing those pawns on the queen side. c7 and d6 are fixed now, and black has some issues to push c6 to somehow free himself from the pressure he got into. Now black goes back to e7 and rook a4, defending the pawn on e4, since again f3 is impossible because of knight d5, and also bishop d4 is impossible because of the same tactic. Now because of the rook on e1. So rook a4 seems logical, and now Magnus chose to exchange rooks, at least offer an exchange of rooks. Black is a pawn up. So after this, queen takes b2, queen a4, and bishop d4, attacking the knight. Knight goes to h5. Just to mention that this pin might seem tactically good because you cannot capture because of rook e1, but white has intermezzo move, rook a1, and the queen has to go, and the knight hangs on d5 in the end. So knight h5 was the best, in my opinion, and now rook a1 by white, trying to kick this annoying queen from a4. Queen goes back to d7. It's also possible to go for queen e8 and some f5, trying to break this pawn structure in the center, but this is also quite good. Queen goes to c3, tries to stop c6 from happening, and now knight f4 by black. He wants to fork on e2, so now white defends naturally by queen f3, attacking the knight and also stopping knight e2. Knight goes back to g6, and now rook c1. Again, white is trying to continue stopping this c6, which would in a big way make black's life easier. Now again queen a4 by black. He's so annoying with this. And now queen d3. After which black strikes with f5, tries to undermine this pawn center which white has at the moment, and it's not possible to capture because of knight f4, and knight e2 is a very strong threat, and the only move which seems saving is this one, queen c4, because on any other answer the bishop on d4 hangs, or the rook on c1. So after queen c4, rook c4, there's knight d5, and black has two passed pawns on this side. So Duda chose here to just limit the knight on g6, not allow any knight f4, and go for g3. But now this allows Magnus to weaken d5 pawn, capturing, and going queen e8. Because after knight e4, knight f6 was kind of a threat, targeting the f7 knight. So he went back to attack the knight from e4 and to also defend the knight on g6. So white goes back to c3, and this allows exchanges of rooks. King goes to g2, and now he goes back. He wants to get his c6, which would solve all of his problems. Duda offers a trade with queen b5 and also stops c5, but now Magnus goes with queen c8, still preparing this c6 by some potential knight e7 and c6. Queen goes back to d3, and now after knight e7, black is ready to play c6. Nothing can stop this. Queen e4, and after c6 and Duda capturing, they just agree to a draw because the material is so reduced, and I think both players are really knowing that this is not possible to play for both sides for some advantage. And after this game, they both had 2 points out of 3 games, which still keeps them in competition for the title. After 3 rounds, I think that Vidit was leading with 2.5 points. And that's it. I'm going to post more videos. I'm going to show you more games from this tournament. See you soon and take care. Bye.